YouTube, what it do? What's happening? Welcome back to another reaction video, man. We about to react to some shit, so let's get straight into it. Hope y'all feeling good on this beautiful Wednesday. But we got some goddamn videos to react to. Let's get straight into it. Shout out to Chillin' Scared. This is disturbing last scene footage of murder victims. Let's watch.
On the evening of June 2nd, 2007, 18-year-old Kelsey Smith went shopping alone. She had just graduated from high school 9 days earlier and wanted to buy a 6-month anniversary present for her boyfriend, John. However, what was meant to be a quick, uneventful shopping trip instead turned into a tragedy. Though nothing seemed out of place at first, Kelsey left her home in Overland Park, Kansas at around 6:30 p.m. and reached the Target near Oak Park Mall without any trouble about 30 minutes later. She even called her mother shortly after arriving at the store to ask where she could find gift boxes. Unfortunately, this was the last conversation anyone ever had with her. Her family grew concerned when more than an hour passed and she still hadn't returned home. There was no message from her about some unexpected delay, and her phone was going straight to voicemail.
Hi guys, it's Kelsey. Obviously, I can't come to the phone right now. Leave me a message. Bye.
Kelsey was the kind of person who would call her parents even if she was just a few minutes late, so for her to disappear like this was highly unusual.
Facts, I feel the same way. If I know him, if I know my child, I don't got no kids, but if I have a child and my child calls me, oh, I'm running late, like communication is key, and I don't hear from my child in an hour, what happened? Where's my child at? You feel me? That's the worst feeling as a parent, to not hear from your child in 24 hours at all. At all. And you know your child calls when they late, let you know what's going on, like communication and shit back and forth, and you don't hear from your child in an hour, and it's going straight to voicemail. My alerts of parenting is going up the roof. That's just me.
Around the same time, John also showed up at Kelsey's house to pick her up for their date. Unfortunately, he didn't know anything about her whereabouts either. Fearing the worst, her family filed a missing person report. Meanwhile, her sister and John started looking for her around town, desperately hoping that she was just stranded somewhere due to something minor like car trouble. And while they finally found a lead, it raised more questions than it answered. They were searching the area surrounding the Target when they spotted her car parked outside the Macy's on the opposite side of the Oak Park Mall, about half a mile from her last known location. This was already strange enough on its own. However, the most concerning part was the condition they found it in. It was fully unlocked, and the only thing missing from it besides Kelsey herself was her phone. All of her belongings, including her purse and the gift she bought for John hours earlier, were still in the car, which begged the question, what could have possibly caused her to abandon her car in this state? Fortunately, Macy's had a CCTV camera pointed at the parking lot, allowing investigators to acquire the footage and analyze it for potential clues. However, nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to uncover. CCTV footage showed the car pull into the lot at 9:17 p.m., over 2 hours after Kelsey was last heard from.
Wow.
However, instead of Kelsey, an unknown man wearing a white t-shirt got out of the driver's side door and quickly fled the scene. Unfortunately, the footage was too blurry to see any identifying features besides his clothes. What investigators didn't know at the time was the color of his shirt would prove crucial in this investigation. But for now, the focus was on finding Kelsey before it was too late. The next step in their investigation was to analyze the last known footage of Kelsey shopping at the Target. Unfortunately, this footage didn't show anything unusual, at least at first glance. Target's surveillance system had captured her entire shopping trip. Everything from entering the building, to calling her mother, buying the gift, and then leaving in her car. However, while doing a frame-by-frame analysis, one of the detectives noticed a tiny anomaly near the end of the footage. As she was about to get in her car, the camera captured what looked like a man in a white t-shirt running toward her at the last second. There was a strong chance that this was the same man who would later abandon her car in the Macy's parking lot hours later. With this newfound knowledge, investigators watched the footage again, and this time they noticed something.
There he fucking go. He was stalking her ass. There he goes. Whoever this man is needs to be locked the hell up. He's been stalking this girl. He's been preying on her the whole damn time. That is wild. So to all my women that's out there right now, if you watching this and you're a woman and you start feeling some shit that feel weird, you feel like somebody watching you or going on. If somebody watching you, go to every aisle and see if they follow you. The moment they start following you, hey, point at them, Hey, tell them stop following you and point them out. Plain and simple. People like this need to be arrested and be held accountable for what they're doing. You're weird. You need to be locked up and held. Plain and simple.
Even more horrific. As Kelsey was browsing through the store, a man in a white t-shirt could be seen stalking her through every aisle. He kept following her until she was about to pay for her items and then rushed out of the store before her, likely so he could ambush her as she was getting in her
Look at
car.
this shit.
Fortunately, the entrance camera managed to capture the only somewhat usable image of his face, allowing investigators to set up a tip line for anyone who knew him. Another camera also captured the make and model of his truck when he arrived at the store minutes earlier. This narrowed down the search considerably. All they needed now was information on who this man was. And after sifting through hundreds of false reports, investigators finally received a tip from someone claiming to be his neighbor. They recognized his face and truck on TV and immediately called the police. Not long after, officers arrested 26-year-old Edwin Hall at his home. He was getting ready to leave the state for a supposed vacation with his wife and kids. Fortunately, officers were able to reach him before he fled. Though, to their surprise, Edwin confessed to being at the location without any pushback and even confirmed that he was the one in the CCTV footage, but he also denied having anything to do with Kelsey. Luckily, his lie did not last long. Investigators had actually found a single unknown fingerprint on the seatbelt latch of Kelsey's car when searching through it earlier. However, it didn't match any print they had on record. But with Edwin's arrest, they were able to take his fingerprints, which turned out to be a perfect match for the one found in Kelsey's car. The same day, police also found Kelsey's remains near a lake in Missouri, about 20 miles from the target, none of which would have been possible if Kelsey's last shopping trip hadn't been captured by Target's surveillance system. Edwin was charged with the kidnapping and murder of Kelsey Smith and stood trial in July 2008. He pled guilty to all charges to avoid the death penalty and was sentenced to life in prison without...
Good for your motherfucking ass. But you gotta think about it too. What made you unalive her? What was the point, bro? That's the shit I don't be getting sometimes when it comes to y'all goofy ass serial killers. Y'all be preying on innocent people for no reason, bro. So to my men, make sure y'all watch y'all kids, watch y'all daughters. People is out here preying on them for no reason. Something must have clicked in this man's head to say, oh, I'm going to stalk her, kidnap her, and kill her for no reason. What's the point of you killing her? I'm gonna leave it alone. God rest her spirit. May she rest in peace. That's crazy.
the possibility of parole. On the night of Valentine's Day 2017, a home security camera installed outside the house of 35-year-old Ellie Tran showed her returning home from work and pulling into the driveway, unaware that a dangerous stalker was hiding just outside the camera's view, waiting for the right opportunity to attack. As soon as she got out of the car, the stalker lunged at her from behind the bushes and tackled her to the ground before running away on foot just seconds later. And while Ellie looked mostly unharmed at first, the attacker had actually injected her with a cyanide-filled syringe while she was on the ground.
No, damn. Y'all let me know in the comments what type of injection cyanide shit, what does that do to you if you've been injected with it? Let me know in the comments down below.
Which, for those who don't know, is one of the deadliest poisons on Earth. Wow. What made this situation even worse was the fact that this wasn't a crazed stalker or a random serial killer. Instead, this was 30-year-old Joseph Merlino III, Ellie's ex-boyfriend, and someone she had a 2-year-old daughter with. The two got into a relationship sometime in late 2013, and things started off quite well. However, Joseph started becoming aggressive when Ellie became pregnant and invited her parents to live with her. You see, Ellie had actually immigrated to the US from Vietnam before meeting Joseph. She wanted to build a stable life in the US with Joseph and their child, but she also wanted her parents to be a part of this new life. So, in 2014, she flew her parents to the US and gave them a place at her and Joseph's home. This became a major point of contention between the couple, with Joseph becoming more and more aggressive with each passing day. Things escalated to the point of physical violence by mid-2016, forcing Ellie to break up with Joseph and get a restraining order against him. She also kept full custody of their daughter. However, Ellie knew that Joseph wasn't going to leave her alone so easily. She lived in constant fear that he would one day show up and take their daughter from her, which was the only reason she installed security cameras both inside and outside her home. But even Ellie couldn't have predicted the lengths Joseph was willing to go for revenge. Immediately after the attack on February 14, Ellie tried to get inside and call 911. She didn't know exactly what had happened, but she knew he had injected something into her leg. but she passed away before making that call. Luckily, her mother saw everything, including Joseph's face as he was running away. She called emergency services and Ellie was rushed to a nearby hospital. Unfortunately, it was already too late. Cyanide prevents cells from using oxygen, which is needed to keep them alive. The cells can no longer produce energy, and vital organs like the heart and brain start failing rapidly, leading to a state of internal suffocation, even if the person...
Bro, like, what type of shit? What type of shit y'all dudes be on, bro? You killed her because she brought her family in from Vietnam to the US to live with her because she wanted them to be closer to her than anything, as she should. So you chose to get mad at her and you started acting crazy because she took full custody of your child. You start acting crazy and everything. Acting crazy. Did this to get your get back and inject this shit inside her leg and you killed her instantly just like that. Man, hey. It always be them crazy exes, boy. They just trying to kill you and everything else. That's some sad shit.
Is breathing. By the time Ellie reached the hospital, she had already suffered severe brain damage. She was pronounced brain dead shortly afterward, forcing her parents to make the painful decision of cutting off her life support. The home security footage, alongside the statement from Ellie's mother, allowed investigators to zero in on Joseph and arrest him just 3 days later on February 17. They also searched his home and found several other dangerous items like guns and materials for making explosives. However, despite the evidence, Joseph tried to claim that he was in a different city on the night of the murder and that the person in the home security footage was someone else. However, the prosecution didn't believe any of it. Phone records proved that his statement about being in a different city was a complete lie. More importantly, prosecutors were able to prove that the murder was fully premeditated. Forensic analysis of his internet traffic revealed that leading up to the crime, he had searched terms like, how many milligrams of cyanide will kill you? What if cyanide gets in the bloodstream? And what if cyanide gets injected?
What the fuck? There's the shows right there. This man premeditated to kill his ex-girlfriend over some strange, goofy situation because she won't her parents to move in with her. You get aggressive. You get a restraining order. She get full custody. You feel some type of way. You get angry and you do something and you Google this shit right here. You premeditated to kill this woman and feel like you was gonna take your child back. No, my boy. You going to jail for murder. You was chopped cheese, my guy.
Investigators were also able to track down the people he purchased cyanide and the syringe from on marketplaces like eBay and Etsy. However, the most damning evidence proving his sinister motives came from an incident that happened back in December 2016. According to Ellie's mother, Ellie was coming home from work one day when suddenly a man approached her and threw an unknown chemical on her. Thankfully, the chemical only burned her hair and caused minor burns on her scalp, allowing her to recover without any permanent injuries. Ellie later told her mother that she believed the attacker was Joseph. This showed that Joseph was coming up with ways of harming Ellie even before the lethal attack. Joseph, however, stayed adamant that he was innocent and even went on a hunger strike for a few months before his trial. Prosecutors believe he did this to lose a lot of weight and look significantly different from how he looked in the security camera footage, possibly hoping to trick the jury into handing out an innocent verdict. Unfortunately for him, this plan failed as well. He stood trial in December 2018 and was sentenced to life in prison.
Good. Bitch ass nigga.
On the 12th of May 2022, a government inspector was doing a land survey in the wooded area surrounding the National Guard Armory in Wadesboro, North Carolina. But partway through the survey, the inspector discovered the last thing he was expecting behind the armory, a complete human skeleton.
Oh, wow.
The only other items nearby were a black top and a pair of women's leggings, indicating that this skeleton likely belonged to a woman. Further inspection of the remains also confirmed that she had likely passed away somewhere between 9 months and a year ago. Now, this was a major discovery, especially because it happened in a not-so-secluded area near a government building and a high school. There was also a strong chance that this person either got lost in the woods or was placed there by someone trying to hide their crime. Either way, it would have been best to make the finding public and enlist the public's help in identifying the person. But for unknown reasons, the Wadesboro Police Department did not report it publicly. It wasn't until January 2024 that this case received its first major update. Someone from the Wadesboro area came forward with disturbing images their trail camera had captured back on August 21, 2021, close to the armory. They showed a woman, possibly in her mid to late 30s, walking alone in the forest very early in the morning. She was bare.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What the hell? Hey, y'all see this? I know y'all see this shit. Okay, alright.
Barefoot and was struggling to walk while using a stick for support. Her leggings and support stick were also wet up to her knees, suggesting she might have walked through the creek just south of the trail cam. More importantly, she was wearing the same top and leggings the surveyor would find alongside the skeletal remains about 9 months later. However, while the trail cam footage gave a face to the remains, investigators were still no closer to identifying her. She didn't match any missing person reports in the area, leaving investigators with no clear leads to follow. With no other option, authorities uploaded the trail cam images alongside any information they had on the National Missing Persons database, which turned out to be the correct move. Not long after the case gained traction online, the woman was identified as Amber Ray Johnston, who was 36 years old when she went missing back in August 2021. This trail cam footage was the last time she was seen alive. Her mother recognized her after coming across the images online. A DNA test in March 2025 also confirmed that the skeletal remains belonged to her daughter, Amber. The only question that remained now was what happened to Amber? How did she end up in Wadesboro, North Carolina, over 2,200 miles from her home in Bullhead City, Arizona? Unfortunately, the answer to this question would turn out to be far more complex than the investigators might have expected. Amber's story began in Bullhead City, Arizona, where she was in an emotionally and physically abusive relationship with her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Jarrett Ward. Both Jarrett—
Typical shit. Typical shit. Ladies, y'all gotta stop getting with these men that be putting their hands on y'all. Please. Abusive, emotionally, just, hey, where's y'all brothers at this point? Where's y'all brothers to beat these men asses? Y'all let these men stress y'all out, beat y'all like ice, and stress y'all out. Like the government want their tax, like the government want their money back and you can't pay them. Come on, man. Most times when women be in an abusive relationship with a man, there's a 99% chance the man is trying to kill you or finding ways to kill you. You seen what old boy did to his ex-girlfriend. He injected her with some sodium cyanide, killed her off rip. Rest her soul. So ladies, let this be a learning lesson. Stop dealing with men that's abusive. The moment he starts showing signs he being aggressive towards you, start being abusive towards you, leave that situation. Cut off contact with that man. Don't even have kids with him. Don't do none of that. Put a restraining order. Get a gun at this point. But man, if you feel threatened for your life, shoot him. Shoot him. Plain and simple. But that's resumed.
Jarrett and Amber also had a severe substance abuse problem, which only made their relationship worse. They eventually broke up in the summer of 2021, and Jarrett went back to his hometown in South Carolina. During this time, authorities had their first strange encounter with Amber. On the 8th of August, at around 8 a.m., she apparently went swimming with someone she had just met. He stayed behind on the water's edge while Amber dove in, leaving her ID and clothes behind in his care. He went back to get a life jacket for himself, but when he returned, Amber was nowhere to be seen. Assuming that she might have drowned, he contacted the police, who began a search and rescue mission immediately. However, just hours into the search, police received a call from Amber's landlady stating that she returned home safe. Then in mid-August, she got on a Greyhound bus and started traveling east. It's unclear if she was going back to her mother's place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or if she was planning on visiting Jarrett in South Carolina. However, she didn't reach either of these destinations. Witnesses saw her purchasing a bus ticket in Winston-Salem, North Carolina on August 17, 2021, and that was the last time Amber was ever seen alive. The last ping from her phone came from Charlotte on August 19, 2021. 3 days after that, she was captured by the trail camera in Wadesboro, over 90 miles from Winston-Salem, before disappearing completely until her remains were discovered 9 months later. However, how she reached Wadesboro or why she went there in the first place remains a mystery to this day. The most puzzling part of her case is that authorities still haven't considered any foul play in her disappearance and death. Even though there are countless signs strongly pointing towards that possibility, the biggest of which are SNAP food stamps and credit card, both of which were used by other people, including Jared after her supposed death. She had actually told her mother about Jared stealing her credit card to purchase drugs in the past. So him somehow getting a hold of it and using it for online purchases after her death should have made him the #1 suspect. Unfortunately, Jared passed away himself from an overdose in 2022, leaving investigators with no lead to follow. The second strange sign is a travel video that was posted to her Facebook account on August 18, showing the bus traveling through Birmingham, Alabama, even though phone records showed that she was in Charlotte, North Carolina the next day. It's possible someone else posted this older travel video on her account to throw off anyone looking for her, but there's no way for us to confirm or deny that theory. It also makes little to no sense for Amber to get lost and lose her life in a patch of woods that's surrounded by a government building, a high school, a hospital, and several restaurants and convenience stores.
Right, because any and everybody would have found out, would have peeped it, like would have said something was off. Love, you around a high school, health center, and the damn, like you around everything, the National Guard. The National Guard, knowing they got security, people walking around going through the woods, this something was off. You around everything that can help you. What made you go to that place? That's the shit I want to find out. What made you go all the way creeping in the woods with your tights on, with your leggings on and shit, with your bra, with a wood stick to balance your while you walking? What made you want to do some shit like this? So, hey, I want to find out. Let's resume.
All within walking distance. Lastly, her lack of proper clothing and use of a walking stick in the trail cam footage also points to something far more sinister than her just getting lost in the woods. Unfortunately, with the primary suspect now passed away himself, the truth of what happened to Amber in August 2021 will likely never come out.
Damn.
On the morning of January 25, 2019, Elizabeth Barraza, known to her friends as just Liz, woke up early to set up a garage sale outside her suburban home in Tomball, Texas. She lived there with her husband Sergio, and the two had been happily married for nearly 5 years. Their 5th anniversary was also just a few days away, and they had planned to spend the occasion visiting Universal and Disney parks in Florida. They were both massive fans of franchises like Harry Potter and Star Wars, so this was the perfect plan for their special day. Tragically, Liz never lived to see this day she had been looking forward to. As she was setting up the garage sale, security cameras from around the neighborhood captured a black truck driving in and parking a few lots down from Liz's house. The driver of this truck then got out, approached Liz in her driveway, and started talking to her about something at around 6:58 a.m. Her doorbell camera recorded her saying good morning to this person in a way that made it seem like she didn't know who they were. But then, just a few seconds later, unprompted, the person took out a firearm and opened fire, shooting Liz 4 different times before running back to their truck and driving away.
So you pulled up in a black truck, couple of blocks away, walked down on her, asked her a question, and then up the fire? What are you pointing? You killing this woman for what? She doing a garage sale. You walked on her, answer a couple of questions, play it cool to make sure she's comfortable. Hey, good morning and stuff like that. Okay, she doing a garage sale. Let me see if I can approach her. This is the right time to approach her and up the fire. So basically, you killed this woman for no reason. Oh yeah, I hope you get jail time, get life, and I hope you burn in hell.
3 different neighbors called 911 seconds after hearing the gunshots. First responders arrived just a few minutes later and rushed Liz to a nearby hospital. Unfortunately, the damage was too severe, resulting in her passing away shortly after arriving. The video footage captured the whole incident, but it wasn't clear enough to pick up any identifying features. However, as the investigation went on, the biggest issue that confused the authorities was the complete lack of a logical motive. First of all, this wasn't a robbery or something along those lines. The killer didn't take anything and just ran off after committing the crime. More importantly, the way they made sure to shoot her one more time after she had already fallen to the ground made it seem like this was a deliberate hit, almost as if someone had sent a hitman after her. However, investigators couldn't find any reason why someone would do that. Everyone who knew Liz described her as the brightest person they knew. She wanted nothing more than to see others happy and even spend her free time cosplaying as a stormtrooper and visiting children's hospitals to cheer them up. Security footage from around the neighborhood also showed the killer driving around her home and staying in nearby parking lots hours before the crime. The timing of the
This was premeditated the whole time. Premeditated the whole time. You've been stalking her the whole time. So you've been doing this for a good while, for the past couple of days. So you finally got the courage to walk up, pull up, walk off a little, drop your car off a little bit to the street, got out, walked up on her, tell her good morning, and up the phone on her 4 times. After she dropped, you still hit her again. And clearly, everybody, this is a woman who put out this hit and got her gone. She delivered the hit and got this lady gone for no reason. This lady looked like she was a genuine woman. Cosplaying as a trooper in Star Wars to help the people in the help the little kids in the hospitals with cancer, doing her job as a person, as a genuine person. Who would do some shit like this? Hey man, keep your friends close and enemy close at this point, man. You gotta watch out who is close to you. Cause the person that's close to you could be a whole hitman ready to get you gone. The moment y'all go left, some turmoil come between you and your relationship. Somebody is right there ready to get you gone with no hesitation. That's why I barely have friends, bro. My circle of friends is very small, like a penny, very small. Cause shit like this was uncalled for.
crime was also quite suspicious. It happened just 4 minutes after Sergio had left for work. Whoever the killer was, they knew the couple's schedules. Liz had also not told anyone about the garage sale beforehand, so there was no way for some random person to know that she would be alone outside at that time. This precise timing pretty much ruled out the possibility of a serial killer taking advantage of the opportunity, bringing authorities back to square one. The only possible lead they had was her husband, Sergio, and for a good reason. Spouses are often involved in these types of murders, especially when infidelity is involved. Putting Sergio as the mastermind could also explain how the killer knew about the garage sale and the exact time Sergio would leave for work. However, after thorough investigation, the police found no evidence of Sergio's involvement. Their marriage was simply too perfect and problem-free for him to have any reason to take her life, leaving the mystery of Elizabeth Barraza's death completely unsolved to this day.
That's crazy.
February 2021 started off as a particularly cold month for the residents of the small town of Plains Township, Pennsylvania. A blizzard the night before had deposited over 30 inches of snow across the region, forcing most of its residents to shovel snow from their driveways if they wanted to get their cars out. However, for a local couple, 50-year-old James Goy and 48-year-old Lisa Goy, this simple activity proved lethal when they got into an argument with their neighbor across the street named Jeffrey Spade. The fight had started with Jeffrey accusing the couple of dumping snow too close to his house. A home security camera outside James and Lisa's home captured the argument as it escalated, with both groups hurling increasingly demeaning insults and curses at each other. In the heat of the moment, Jeffrey threatened the couple's lives before returning to his home.
Oh yeah, he did it. Lock him up. He did it. And bro, how can they throw it on the other side if y'all across the street? You should be talking about the people that's on the side of you, not across from you, my guy. You threatened to kill them. You did it. Lock him up. Send him to jail.
Normally, this would have been where the argument ended. However, Jeffrey had something much more drastic in mind. Seconds later, he came back with a firearm and opened fire, hitting the couple multiple times. He kept shooting until he ran out of ammunition. But after seeing that both James and Lisa were still alive, he went back inside and returned with a different firearm and took their lives at point-blank range. By the time first responders arrived at the scene, both Lisa and James had already passed away. But that wasn't all. Police entered Jeffrey's home to arrest him for his crime. However, Jeffrey, understanding the drastic, irreversible decision he had just made, likely didn't want to spend the rest of his life behind bars. So, after ending James'
y'all know what he did. He sent them home, and he took himself and went to hell. He upped himself, got him up out of it. That's what most crazy people do. He looked like he did some goofy shit like this. I don't trust his fucking eyebrows. I don't trust his mouth. He got no fucking lips. So you went and killed these people for no reason over some snow, shot them, gunned them down. That didn't work. Left, came back, put out another blick, point range, point blank, and got him up out of the police car. Oh, y'all is never gonna get me. You went out like a goofy, and you gonna go in hell like a goofy.
And Lisa, he ended everything for himself as well, ending the investigation before it even began. On the morning of February 12, 1993, Denise Bolger was visiting the New Strand Shopping Center in Bootle, England with her 2-year-old son, James. At one point during shopping, she let go of James's hand for a split second to pay. But when she looked back, James had vanished without making a sound.
Wow.
In a panic, she immediately began looking for him, hoping that he was just wandering around the shopping center. However, James was nowhere to be found. She also called the police, who arrived within minutes and started searching for James in the streets surrounding the area. Over the next 2 days, more than 100 officers searched the streets of Bootle while helicopter teams searched across the canal. Unfortunately, despite their combined efforts, they didn't find a single clue that could lead them to James. However, what looked like a simple missing child case at first would turn out to be one of the most disturbing crimes of the 20th century. The truth came out on February 14th when a group of young boys discovered James's remains on a railway track 2.5 miles from the shopping center. His body had been sliced in half by a passing train. However,
What the fuck? What the fuck you mean sliced in half? How you went gone that quick? Your mama let your hand go for a 0.1 second and your ass is gone just like that. Nobody didn't call this and say, hey, who kids is this? Nobody didn't stop them, like nothing?
that was only the tip of the iceberg. A later autopsy report revealed that James had a total of 42 injuries across his body, including 10 skull fractures and much more. While the graphic details of James's state are too gruesome for YouTube, they can only be described as an act of pure, inhuman cruelty. Someone had spent a long time inflicting pain on the poor boy before he inevitably passed away from the injuries.
Wow.
However, the most shocking revelation of the case was yet to come. With the discovery of James's remains, the focus then shifted to uncovering and catching the person or persons responsible. Fortunately, the shopping center had CCTV cameras around the facility, and after scouring through the footage, investigators finally found their first solid lead. One of the cameras had captured the culprit taking James out of the shopping center, but it wasn't an adult as most would have suspected. Instead, James was seen being led away by two strikingly young boys. Footage from other cameras showed the two boys just hanging around the shopping center and shoplifting things like candy, toys, and paint. Then, at 3:42 p.m., they guided James away from his mother and took him outside. But there was no way for the investigators to identify the two boys on their own, so they released some of the enhanced footage on TV, resulting in a woman recognizing them and calling the station. On February 18, 6 days after James's murder, police arrested 10-year-old John Venables and Robert.
Y'all some young fucking kids, man. You took an innocent kid from his parent. Y'all was already on some criminal shit and doing some goofy shit, stealing and being bad. Y'all went and took this kid from his mama, walked him away from his parent, went ducked off somewhere by a train track, and beat this kid for no reason, tortured this child, and then put him on a fucking train track, and he got sliced in half. My God, this is the reason why I don't have no fucking kids, bro. This is the reason why I don't want no kids. Cause motherfucker would do some shit like this to my child, I'm ending the whole family. The whole family gotta go. So God bless me to where I don't want no kids, bro. I'm cool. They gotta go. They gotta go to the upper room. People be so cruel and so evil for no reason to innocent people, bro. I find that shit very strange and weird, bro. People who do stuff like this, they the goddamn devil.
Thompson from their homes. What followed was an extensive 20-hour-long interrogation where the two initially tried to deny everything, but after some pressure, John buckled and confessed, stating, "I killed James. I did it. We did it. Will you tell his mom I'm sorry?" Police also interviewed around 38 witnesses who saw James with John and Robert that evening to get a full picture of what happened. John and Robert skipped school on February 12th and went to the shopping center with the express purpose of abducting a child. As one of them later confessed, they were planning to take James near a busy road and push him into oncoming traffic.
What the fuck? Look at this shit. Bitch, y'all serial killers at 10 years old. 10. Serial killer. Y'all premeditated to skip school. To everybody that's watching, hear me out. Skip school, premeditated, skip school to prey on this young boy. So y'all had to know who this child was. Y'all monster was following them. Y'all had to skip school. What 10-year-old would skip school? Where y'all mama at? But let's get back into it. Skip school. Watched him, preyed up on him while he was shopping with his mother. Snatched him up. Y'all had to be behind him. Had to snatch him away, and nobody didn't say nothing. Multiple people walking around, and y'all didn't say nothing. Took this little boy, walked him off by a train track, and then intentionally pushed him into ongoing traffic, and split that little boy in half, bro. In half. That's crazy.
But somewhere between taking him from his mother and going out, their plan took a turn for the worst. They took him to the railway track instead. Once alone, they forced James to endure the unimaginable until he finally passed away. They then dragged his remains onto the train tracks to make his death look like an accident before going back home. Because they demonstrated a clear understanding of the wrongness of their crimes, John and Robert faced a full adult trial in November 1993. And the evidence against them was overwhelming. Investigators found drops of James's blood on their clothes, imprints of their shoes on his body, and much, much more, leaving no doubt about their guilt. They were found guilty and became the youngest convicted murderers of the 20th century. Though, despite their adult trial, their sentence was still in line with their age. They were sentenced to indefinite detention with a minimum of 8 years behind bars.
Wow.
After 8 years, in 2001, John Venables was released with a new identity to protect him from public retribution. But he has been repeatedly recalled to prison for breaching his parole conditions and was found to still pose a danger to children. Robert Thompson remains free on license and has not been known to reoffend since his initial release.
Boy, that's some crazy shit, though. That's some crazy shit. But share y'all thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure y'all hit that big red subscribe button that y'all see on the screen for more content like this on the channel. And do me a big favor, like this video, man. Like this video right now, and follow me on Twitch, Instagram, and on TikTok. The link is going to be in the description down below. I will be posting this on my second channel at Lavelli TV. So when you see this, make sure y'all go subscribe to that channel as well. Stay tuned. I have new videos on the way. Thank y'all for watching. I will see y'all in the next reaction.